Well, I love chemistry and photography because they're both very similar. Photography is essentially chemistry. I mean, when photography was invented, it was invented by chemists and physicists, and it wasn't for a means of art, it was a means of documentation.
Chemistry is a very abstract subject. You know, you can't see molecules. We talk a lot about them, their interactions, that there had to be some way to make chemistry visible, even if it's not literally visible. And so I started to think about ways that we could marry chemistry, abstract concepts, to things that are concrete, that we can touch and see and feel. And one of the interesting areas I think that we can make that marriage is with art. Something that students could see and touch, but be thinking about and talking about chemistry.
Okay, so I was in class one day and Dr. Yukna came and approached me about conducting a research project over the summer. So we essentially decided that we were going to come up with a series of projects to make chemistry more relevant for the average non-science major student.
This is a student that I could work with, that she would actually have insight into art, to photography, and so she could help me with the parts that I'm not familiar with. I'm familiar with the chemistry, but she's familiar with making art pieces. So she could work with me to develop labs that are centered around making art pieces, but discussing chemistry.
Our lab is different because we geared it towards an inquiry-based or discovery-based teaching approach. So that differs from a traditional lab approach, because a traditional lab, an instructor is going to stand in front of their students and tell them exactly what they have to do. I mean, they're going to give them the procedure, and the students have to follow the exact procedure. They have to follow the exact data collection process. All their conclusions are ultimately going to be the same. To whereas our inquiry-based lab, the students have hands-on interaction. They can change the procedure, they can alter their data collection, and ultimately the students can have different conclusions from one another. I mean, we're giving them guided questions that the students will teach themselves.
You know, if you allow people to explore, maybe then they're just more comfortable with it. And so then early on, if they get this experience in high school, instead of looking at science as something that's very rigid, there's a set of rules that you always have to follow and you never go outside of these rules, which can be true some of the time, but not necessarily. All of our great scientific discoveries are usually coming from somebody who has decided that, no, those rules don't work, and here's why, and this is my new set of rules. Because science isn't just about repeating what others have done, but it's trying to discover or create something new, something that no one else has done, and that takes creativity and it takes courage. So I think that that's really great that Megan has both aspects.